The views expressed on the Nova Society are those of the panelists and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Phoenix Research Institute or any institution which any panel member is associated. Welcome back to the Nova Society, a space where dialogue deepens understanding and civic responsibility comes to life. I'm Dr. Mark Bound, joined by our regular panel, Dr. Scott Gershwer and Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon. Together, we'll unpack the stories that matter most, exploring the headlines, the history, and the big ideas shaping today's conversations. Let's dive in and hear what the panel has for us today.
And today we have a question from Roberta, who writes to us from Bangor, Maine. What? And Roberta writes, Susan Collins must live a charmed political life. For a moment, it looked like Democrats finally had a challenger who could seriously threaten her seat. And then this past week, he's out after yet another allegation of past sexual misconduct. Democrats knew Platner was a flawed candidate, but they backed him anyway. And now they're scrambling. It's hard to feel sympathy when the crisis is one they walked straight into. Unless Democrats regroup quickly and find someone who can speak to Platner's base without carrying his baggage, it's starting to look like Collins may glide back into office yet again. And I have to say, I'm struck by the hypocrisy of some of my Republican friends who criticize Democrats for supporting a candidate with so much baggage while conveniently ignoring the baggage their own president carries. So here's my question for the panel. Is there a viable Democratic candidate who could step in at this point? Should the party look for someone who appeals to Platner's supporters or pivot to a more generic, safe candidate who historically doesn't win here? And realistically, is Maine now a lost opportunity for Democrats this cycle? Yeah, that's an excellent set of questions. Thank you very much, Roberta. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just going to kind of reject the premise here, with all due respect to Roberta from Bangor, Maine. Democrats dodged a bullet in this. If we had found out about that tomorrow instead of last week, Platner would be the candidate. Like the deadline is today. And so finding out about it on a week ago, on like Tuesday or whatever, that he had another allegation against him, turned out to be a really lucky break for the Democrats, in my opinion, because now they can find a good candidate to run. And I will say that I was fooled by Platner because I thought that he was a progressive oyster, but it turns out that that's not actually true. And again, like these guys, there's nothing you can trust anymore. It just doesn't seem like there's so much hype about this guy. Now, I will say I am Jewish. I am very, very sensitive about the Holocaust. I had zero idea that tattoo was a Nazi tattoo. I've actually heard that it's a Scottish tattoo. But that just no idea. When I saw, I had to look it up, because he had covered it, I guess. But I looked up the, what's it called, Topfenberg skull or whatever it is. And they said, well, that's an SS symbol. And I'm like, really? I thought I knew all the SS symbols, but I guess there's always a new one.
You mean the Totenkopf?
Yeah.
The death, it translates literally to death head.
Right, it's a skull. And it's pretty badass looking, I will say. I'm not a tattoo guy myself. I see Mark is. And Mark, what is that you got over there? Is that a Totenkopf on your shoulder there?
No, it's not.
Mom? Was it heart with mom?
Not mom. No.
But I'm not a tattoo guy myself. I'm afraid of needles. But I think that the Democrats did well with getting rid of Platner. He's not what we thought he was. He fooled Bernie. He fooled me, fooled everybody, fooled a lot of people. And then women started coming out and talking about his his bad behavior. And the initial thought there, I believe, was we all have some bad shit in our past that we did, especially when we were younger. And he came back from a war and had PTSD, and he probably went through a few things in his mind, and et cetera, and making excuses for the guy. But if they keep coming, you have to kind of say, well, Maine did pretty good without Platner. I guess they'll continue to do pretty good without Platner, and we can move on to somebody else. Now, who that's going to be, I have no idea. It doesn't really matter what I think anyway. The Maine voters are going to get a slate of Democratic candidates to choose from. They'll do a mini type convention sort of thing and pick somebody. Probably what should have happened when Joe Biden dropped out of the race, rather than rallying behind Kamala Harris. Again, I liked Kamala Harris. I still like Kamala Harris. I don't think that she's going to be the nominee for the Democrats, even though I believe she's the front runner at the moment. That's probably based more on name recognition than anything else. But I think the Democrats did quite well in this one, and hopefully they'll be able to find somebody who can knock Susan Collins out, because she's very concerned. Very concerned.
I have to admit, when I first saw the tattoo, it probably goes to show my age, I said, "Oh, he's a deadhead." I thought all I could think of was Grateful Dead. I said, "Oh, he's a deadhead," and then somebody pointed out to me, he goes, "Look a little closer," and I'm looking at him going, "Oh, that's not good." But that was the first thing that struck my mind was deadhead. And for those not of the age, Grateful Dead, deadheads. But anyway, Scott, you're right in the sense that they dodged a bullet, but they dodged a bullet they didn't have to dodge. They knew how much baggage this guy had coming into it. No matter for whatever reasons, whatever, he was, he had a lot of baggage, and it just kept coming and coming and coming. And like you said, yes, they dodged the bullet. They were able now to pick a different candidate, but this is something that, and I think that Roberta up in Bangor, I think you're right, Roberta. I think they should have saw this coming. I mean, they really should have. And yeah, there is hypocrisy of the Republicans where they say, "Oh, yeah, you backed this guy who was so terrible," when you've got somebody that needs to pay $5 million to E. Jean Carroll, and is mentioned more in the Epstein files than Harry Potter is in the entire series of the Harry Potter books. So there's a little bit of hypocrisy going on there. But yeah, this is one of those things where the Democrats really screwed up. Now, what they should have done was listen to the message that Platner was putting out there, because obviously it resonated with people in Maine. So my comment is go find somebody, and I don't know if St. Clair, who I think is Lucas St. Clair, I don't know if I don't really know his political leanings or anything else. He's kind of a conservative Democrat. But go find somebody that speaks Platner's language without, the baggage that Platner has, and maybe that's your only way to do it. But you're right, Susan Collins, who I think is absolutely a dimwit. Oh, Trump will change his tune. Oh, he learned his lesson. Oh, come on, the woman's a dimwit. And this was a big opportunity for the Democrats, and yeah, you fumbled. I'm sorry, guys. You fumbled the ball. And that's all there is to it. And now, but I will say this, Platner, once he dropped out, is trying to make this that it's the establishment that booted me. Those damn keep Washington in Washington. Mr. Platner, I got news for you. If you were going to win, and if you weren't such a sleazebag, you know what? You've been relying on that Washington money to carry you over the line. So let's not be hypocritical in those kind of statements either. The fact is that, yeah, you got caught with your pants down numerous times, and the Democrats should have seen this coming. Where is the vetting? These candidates, where is the vetting of these candidates? And I just think that they see numbers. They say, "Ooh, this guy's got a real shot against Susan Collins," and they jump on that damn bandwagon, forgetting to like look at the candidate as to what can come back and bite you on the ass. Because an election cycle is not just 2 or 3 days. An election cycle is quite a bit of time, and there are people out there looking for information. This woman that came forward back when he was dating her, I don't even know how long ago it was that this was alleged to have happened. But where were you when it happened? But all of a sudden now, I mean, and I'm not saying she's lying. I'm not saying that she's doing, anything untoward. I'm not saying he's innocent of any of this. So please do not write me nasty Graham saying, "Oh, you're me too," and this. No, I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is that, if what you say happened, it's an awful convenient time to bring it up. It really is a kind of a convenient time to bring this stuff up. Now, if it's true, and again, innocent until proven guilty, except in the court of public opinion. If it's true, then yeah, he should pay the price. He should have paid the price when it happened. That's my comment. I mean, again, I don't know how long ago this was, but I'm sure that if it was long enough ago, the statute of limitations of doing anything about it is over with. Come on, you should have said something back then. And that speaks in many ways in support of women, because, and to all the women out there, if you are sexually abused at all, report it right then and there. Get it taken care of right then and there. Make them accountable right then and there. Don't be, like my wife sometimes, who will say, about 4 years ago, you said. I swear to God, she has a list of, I said something 4 years ago, and it was really convenient. She'll bring it up. But I mean, take care of it right then and there. I always told my daughters, I mean, if somebody abuses you or anything like that, you don't sit on it. You deal with it right then and there. Because that's where the credibility of it comes from. That's really where the credibility comes from.
Well, I know that in the past, women were not always believed. I remember the Clarence Thomas, Anita Hill issue, and
but that was one of those ones where that happened a long time. That was previous.
Yes.
Where was Anita Hill when it happened?
Very often, women are not believed, and that's the problem. And women may feel that, well, you were wearing the wrong clothes, and it was your fault because you were too attractive. Your skirt was too short. Your neckline was too low. You led him on. You said this or that. And now I think, at least I hope, that the society and the views are changing, although women who are in sex work may be seen as throwaway and not really people. That was one thing that Gary Ridgway, the known as the Green River Killer, one of his arguments was that he hadn't actually killed anybody. He was really helping the police because sex work was illegal. So he wasn't really killing women. He was helping clean out the trash effectively, which was really vile. And he hadn't killed a human being. So women need to see themselves, and society and law enforcement and people who test rape kits also need to see all women, whether they're, quote, good girls or it doesn't matter. You're valuable. A woman is a valuable human being. And if a woman has been abused, she needs to say so, as you say, immediately. And law enforcement and everyone else who hears about it needs to take the story seriously and investigate it seriously.
Yeah. And, again, you're right, Brooklyn. There's hopefully a different attitude about this. In society, the stigma of and I remember, somebody gets raped. Oh, well, it was the victim's fault. It was the victim, and hopefully we've come to the point where we are holding men more accountable for their actions. But again, my comment is this is a telltale, and totally off the topic of Maine. This is just in general. Women today, if you're abused in any way, get out there and deal with it right then and there. Deal with it right then and there, because that's the only way that this type of stuff stops. And as a father of 4 daughters, it's important to me. This is one of those topics that really will get under my skin real quickly. And again, you could be right. It could be the matter of the timing of when it happened. Anita Hill, good example. But the bottom line is that what she was talking about happened years before the hearing. And I think that when they come out like that, like the Anita Hills come out, I think that hurts women's case, because a lot of people are going to say, where were you when it happened? And hopefully the society has changed its mind a little bit. As far as
I
Roberta,
hope so.
Who can run up there? Who knows? I mean, I don't know enough about Maine politics to be able to even give a shout out to anybody. I think that Maine might be a lost cause for the Democrats this time around.
Oh, okay. So I don't think so. I mean, look,
Okay.
Platner, was nominated basically because he's not Janet Mills. It came down to the two of them. She had the name recognition, being the sitting governor of the state. She's an older woman. I don't think that there was a lot of people who want, as you had said earlier. I don't know if she's in her late 70s or early 80s, but she's old enough so that she's not. She probably shouldn't be starting a new job. And so Platner looked like the better choice there. Now, there were a host of other people who ran and didn't make it, who are now coming out of the woodwork and saying, okay, I was here before, you didn't see me then, but here I am now. There's state senators, and there's somebody from this, I think the CDC was running and is back now. There's a bunch of different people. And hopefully they'll vet them more carefully than they did with Platner. And again, I was fooled by Platner. I'm willing to admit it. He looked like a tough guy. He looked like a dude, and how I'm always saying that you need a dude. He looked like a dude, and he is a dude. He's a little, obviously he's had some problems in his life, and hopefully he can straighten them out. And it's very possible that he will come out of this and be found to be clean, and none of these accusations are accurate. That certainly could be, but he needs to straighten that out before he runs for office, not while he's running for office. So, again, is
sorry. And to Mark's point, and what I didn't like is waiting until the last minute to drop out the last day, which is today, and saying, well, it's establishment and this and this, and instead of being gracious and saying, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to support the party, and withdrawing over the weekend when it was obvious that he needed to withdraw, he doesn't withdraw immediately and allow the process to move forward. He's got to wait until the last day, and then he acts like a baby about it. Yeah, exactly. Like a whiny little like a Republican. I'm sorry to say, or like a MAGA person.
Like everybody's against me, the establishment's against me, the media's against me, right? Man up, dude.
Way.
Right. We don't.
Yeah, not an adult doesn't. I mean, my son doesn't behave that way, and I don't expect any adult man to behave that way. So that's juvenile. And that's MAGA whiny wimpy stuff. So that if that's who he genuinely is, then I certainly wouldn't want him.
Yeah.
And I think that Democrats got off lucky in getting rid of him. So he needs to check that. I don't know if you call that an attitude, but if that's his personality, then I don't know what he needs. If that's his baseline, then I'm sorry for him.
He needs a little sack check and to own up and he needed to do some self-vetting that he obviously didn't bother doing. And it came back to bite him, and now he's gone, and we can move on. I'm really tired of talking about it, so why don't we move on to the next thing, which is I'm sure just as annoying. Our politics has become annoying more than anything else. So, all right, thank you for the question, Roberta from Bangor. Vote better.
And that's all the time we have for today's episode. The Nova Society is a production of Nova Society Media, a division of the Phoenix Research Institute. We want to thank our production partners, Buzzsprout, who hosts the Nova Society, Audacity, our editing team, Apple Podcasts, the largest source of podcast and music online, Spotify, the most popular platform for the Nova Society, and iHeartRadio, your destination for all things music and podcasting. The Nova Society is available on all of these and other quality platforms listed in our description. And most importantly, we want to thank you, our listeners. Without your support, the Nova Society could not be possible. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing on the platform of your choice. It's easy, it's free, and helps our channel grow. For questions or comments, you can reach us at nova.society.podcast@gmail.com. So on behalf of Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, Dr. Scott Gershworth, and all of our production partners here at the Nova Society, I'm Dr. Mark Bound. Remember, the true power of society is knowledge. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you again next time. We'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, the Phoenix Research Group, an independent research consortium dedicated to providing solutions to social and political issues for NGOs and international government agencies. Through multidisciplinary, nonpartisan, and unbiased research, the Phoenix Research Group advances understanding and practical strategies for complex challenges. The Phoenix Research Group is a division of the Phoenix Research Institute, the producer of the Nova Society podcast.